So Jahvy and Jaii Frais has now both been charged, right? And the charges are kind of similar, and we just have to wait the outcome right now since they've both been charged. But I think it was Jaii Frais lawyer, right? I think his lawyer is Isaac Buchanan because Jahvy he retained Peter Champagne, right? So we have to wait right now until we get the next court date, right? And I know the next thing the lawyers are gonna fight for is to get the artist bail, right? While this case goes on, in the process of this case, they're gonna want to get the client right out of jail, right? And because I think Jaii Frais he was shot, right? So he have a wound. He might need medical assistance and all these things. And being in jail, not to say that if you in jail you can't have medical assistance, but when you're out of jail and you can seek proper medical attention, that's even better. So I know the lawyers, that's going to be the next thing, right? Because like I said, they've been charged as of right now, right? And the charges they vary, what I mean, in wounding with intent, what I mean, shooting with intent, you know, um, in possession of illegal firearm. I think in Jahvy case, his firearm was legal, but since it was used on a or used at an event that it was prohibited, right? And then he ended up wounding someone. That now makes it an illegal firearm, right? Assault. It varies. You know what I mean? But the thing is, both of them are being charged right now, and both of them, the charges that's laid out against them, is some serious charges. So I see some people go so far to say, well, who they think, you could think whatever you want, but until what I mean, we see this case go through the courts, right? Because things can change in the blink of an eye until we see this case go to courts, and based on the juror or the judge's decision, that's neither here nor there. We have to wait until we cross that bridge. But right now, right, like I said, they've both been charged. And I think what happened is Isaac, he filed a habeas corpus or something like that to say to the authorities, if you don't have enough evidence, which and I don't see how they don't have evidence to charge, his client. But he filed that and said, well, if you don't have enough evidence, sufficient evidence to hold my client, more than 72 or 48 hours, right? You got to let him go. You know what I mean? So maybe that prompted or forced or the Jamaican the JFC to just file charges, because charges have to be filed, right? Because both of them are in custody based on the incident what happened, right? So they write up these charges, they send it to the to the courts, and the judge is going to be like, okay, this is what your client is being charged with right now. Then we have to go from there. So now, like I said, the next court date, when they go back to court, I don't think they're gonna try to argue on who's innocent or guilty at that moment, because remember, charges are already being filed. But can we get our artist a bond? You know what I mean? Can we get him free while this case is taking place? Because I'm sure neither one of them want to be behind bars, right? To wait the outcome of this case, because we don't know how long this case is going to take and all these things. So I'm sure the lawyer is going to try to file for bond to get their client out of prison and work with a client while they're out of prison, until they get, any results from the court while fighting this case. So it's a very sticky situation right now, but both of them are charged with very serious offense. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of people are speaking and saying they're surprised of this and surprised. And I'm like, why would you be surprised? Because we don't know the full story. And the thing is, if if the JFC have um, footage, right? Because we only saw clippings and here and there, whatever. But if I don't know if they had cameras around, CC cameras, whatever. I don't know in the area that this event kept, if they have footage of certain things, right? And people are saying, well, who was the aggressor? Well, the story that came out first, it was Jaii Frais was the aggressor. Jahvy was the aggressor. Now we hearing Jaii Frais is the aggressor. And next thing is the firearm that was used to injure Jaii Frais, right? Oh no, the firearm that Jaii Frais disarmed this individual from, right? That caused bodily harm to, I think was the U.S. citizen and some other person that his name is not being mentioned as of right now. And I'm wondering why is that? That just seems spooky to me, right? They're saying that that firearm is not being claimed by either by Jahvy, right? They're saying that's not their firearm. He didn't disarm no one and whatever. So it leads people to wonder, well, did Jaii Frais had the firearm? Did he get it from someone that, it's a lot of doubt, right? And debate on what's really going on. But that's one of the things I've been saying. You can, this is, I was expecting this. No one is going to want to take the blame, right? Outright to say, well, it is what it is. Even though I think if that's the case, they should, But you gotta remember, it's not what you say. It's it's what you can prove. So people can say this and say that. Either lawyer, they're gonna try to fight this case to get their client off. You know what I mean? And the story might vary or it might change. You might hear this today and then tomorrow you hear that and all these things. That's why they say you can't carry hearsay or go to court. Or you could. But at the end of the day, the evidence, right, that's being proven against your client, right, or I should say presented against your client, is going to determine the outcome, right, or the verdict of the jury and the judge. So to me, this is a very sticky situation for both of them right now, if you ask me. You know what I mean? I see some people are saying, well, Jahvy, his charges seem like it's more worse. Jaii Frais charges seems like it's more worse, and they're debating. But at the end of the day, what happened is both of them are being charged, right? And both of them, the charges that's laid out or presented, is some serious charges. So it don't matter who you think is gonna whatever. They're both in a fucked up situation right now, very sticky situation, and we just have to wait and see how this play out. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? You have to wait to see how this is gonna play out, and wait and see the evidence that's being put forward, and all of these things. Because I'm sure some people might be surprised now, but wait until the trial start, right? So what's gonna happen? Like I said, the lawyers, they're gonna try to get their client out of prison right now, right? So the next court date might be set for next week, right? So when they go in front or appear in front of the judge again, their lawyers might be fighting to get them bond or bail, right? Pending for the, what's the word I'm trying to find? Until the court case proceeds, right? Because based on the charges, right, and based on if they get bail, right, it doesn't matter. The court case is still going to go on. So I don't know if the next court date we're gonna get an update on. All right, when the proceeding or the trial is gonna be, in full effect. When we're gonna get a trial date and all of these things. You know what I mean? But man, very interested, situation here. You know, and I'm sure both of them right now saying to themselves, why, you see, this is when egos collide, this is what happened. But you play stupid game, you win stupid prizes. You know what I mean? And not to say I'm perfect, because we all make mistakes, we all do things more time and then reflect on it and say, well, why, if I did know better, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But boy, I tell you, it looks sticky right now for both of them. You know what I mean? And both of them could serve prison time. One could serve more prison time than the other. But I'm thinking both of them are going to serve time in prison based on what I'm seeing right now. Not to say, like I said, because anything can change. All right? Once the ball game is on, you know what I mean? Anything can happen. It could either go here this way, it could go that way. But we have to wait and see. But if you ask me right now, like I said, serious charges that's being filed against both of them. I don't know how, their lawyer is going to go about this, how they're going to fight this. And like I said, being in dialogue with your client, because like this is what I was trying to say the other night, like, both Jahvy and Jaii Frais, they're going to, communicate with their lawyers, right? Because the lawyer got to know the details of what really, so they have to tell them what transpired and all these things for the lawyer to know which grounds to fight on, which grounds to file certain applications on, and all these things, right? Based on the information that's being presented to them. So it's a very tricky situation, if you ask me. But, we just going to weigh the outcome. You know what I mean? We're going to weigh the outcome and see, what becomes of this. But very sticky situation, if you ask me right now, for both of the artists them. Well, not both the artists, but both the producer and the podcaster. Now, the artist 450, I heard he was called in for questioning, right? And he might have to, I don't know if he's going to have to testify based on, when this case, is in full effect, right? Because we saw him there, in the video, right? So we know 450 was there. So I heard he was called in or questioned, based on, the scenario that took place. So, we have to wait and see everything, like I said, that transpired based on that. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's going to be very interesting, right? There's witness, a whole lot of people was there because this was at a public event, right? So like I said, anything can change today, tomorrow, anything can change because there's a lot of people that was there that witnessed this, right? So I don't know if some people are going to go as witness to testify based on Jahvy behalf or Jaii Frais behalf. And this is one of the things that I keep telling people. We can speculate and say this and say that, but until ball game is not in full effect in the courts, it can go either way. So we still have to wait until we hear the trial date is being set. And like I said, I don't know. They lawyer, like I said, me personally, I think the lawyers right now, the next step, they're going to go for bond. Right now, based on the two individual, right? Because no one really got dirt. People got. So I'm seeing people that are saying, yeah, people are going to say this and say that. But you got to remember, Jamaica is an island. So whether they give up their travel document, it's not like you can't get off the island. You know what I mean? There's other means by people, you know what I mean? Whatever. So you have to take all of that into consideration. And I'm sure the judge, he's going to take, or he or she, they're going to take that into consideration based on the bond hearing when, both of their lawyers go to file this application for them to get bond. They're going to take everything into consideration. But I'm saying the fact that no one really passed away, maybe they could be lenient to say, well, okay, all right, we're going to grant you bond or bail until the next, court date or whatever the case may be. But we still have to wait and see, and that's just my opinion. Everything here is opinionated, people, right? Until, like I said, this case go to trial and the evidence is being, presented, and the judge and the juror, based on what's being presented, they make the or give their final verdict on that. It's going to be very interesting, though, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Very, very interested in the days to come. So let's just wait and see. All right? Big up on yourself down South Viral Media with another update. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, people. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this. Bless up on yourself. I'll check on you guys on another one. Little more.